In this video, I'm going to teach you how to drive a manual transmission car, otherwise known as stick shift. My car has 6 speeds, but I think a car can have from anywhere from 4 to 6 if it's manual. And let's just get started. Okay, so when you're turning on the car, the first thing you want to do is push in the clutch pedal, which is this one, the one on the far left. So we have the gas, the brake, which your right foot should control the gas and the brake, and your left foot is only doing the clutch and just resting on the dead pedal. So when you start up the car, you can either have it in neutral, and you can tell it's in neutral when it can wiggle left and right, or you're going to want it in first gear, which is going to be over and up. And most shift knobs say on the top right here where the gears are, but an easy way to remember is all the even gears are on the bottom, and all the odd gears are going to be upwards. So to get it started, I'll just leave it in neutral, but you always have to push in the clutch when you're starting the car. So push in the clutch all the way, like that, and then you can just start up the car. And now that since I'm in neutral, I don't have to leave the clutch depressed. Neutral is the only gear, it's not even in a gear, but you can only not have the clutch pushed in when you're stopped when you're in neutral. Because if I were in first gear and I were to not be moving in and out of the clutch, it would stall, which is like the car's gonna like lurch forward and die on you. So you don't want that. So just to start off, I guess I'll just turn off the car. You have to push in the clutch to turn off, and then I'll just go through the gears with you guys. So I'm in neutral, left and right. You push in the clutch and go over and up, that's first gear. Go directly down, you're in second gear. Go up, you're in third gear. Then you go down from third to fourth. Then for fifth, you have to go up and over, then up. That's fifth. And then sixth gear is just down. Then we have reverse, you have to push in, and then you go down and over. But usually in cars, the highest gear that you have, in my case sixth, is your cruising gear, which is used for on the freeway. Or if you're going that fast, it's just cruising. So you're not going to be doing any quick accelerations. You're pretty much just going to be staying at constant speed. So that's what your highest gear is for. If I were in a 5-speed car, my cruising gear would be 5th gear. But I'm in a 6-speed car, so my cruising gear is 6th. But let's go ahead and get going and show you guys how to start up. Then we can go more over the mechanics. Okay, so once again, starting up the car, you push in the brake, push in the clutch all the way, and then turn on the car. And remember, I'm in neutral, so I don't have the clutch pressed in anymore because I don't need it. Make sure you put your emergency brake down. So that's all the way down. And now we're going to try to go into first gear. This is generally the hardest part of driving stick. Once you get moving in first, it's easier to cycle through the gears when you need them to go faster. So we'll put it into first, and I'll try to describe, actually first of all, what we're going to need. So when you go into first, I'll just go ahead and do that. So we're about to go. You're going to slowly lift up on the clutch until you feel it start to it gets springy, like it jolts up into your foot. So I have it on that level. Then you add a little gas. And then once you start rolling, you can just take off the clutch. So when you're giving it gas, you generally want to give it below 2,000 RPMs. Okay, so that was starting off. So pretty much you have to wait until you feel the clutch, you have to release it very slowly. And as you're releasing it, you'll start to feel it, start to jump upwards, into your foot, it almost feels like. It's hard to explain, but you will feel it. And you'll probably stall the first few tries. But yeah, you'll feel it. So it'll start to jump up, and once you have it at that position, you start to balance it with the gas. So it's kind of like a balancing motion, you're going up and then down with the gas. And you don't want to over rev on your gas. Like I said, you want to keep it under 2,000 RPMs. But I'd say probably 1,500 to 2,000 is probably good to get you going. Okay, so revving to 1,500 to 2,000 when you're starting it should give you a nice, clean, and smooth start. But revving higher than that will make your car jolt a little bit when you start, and it'll make a more bumpy and uncomfortable ride. But anyway, let's get started again, and then I'll show you guys how to go to the next gear. But before I start, you can either listen to your car or use your tachometer, which shows your RPMs when you know when to shift. A suggested shifting time would be 2,500 for a standard car, I would say, to get good gas mileage. That's not for racing or anything, but that's when a normal person would shift. I shift around 3,000 because my car needs a little bit more power. But so when you're shifting gears, when you're moving, you let off of the gas, which is this pedal, and then you just push the clutch in. Then you would shift into your next gear, let off the clutch, and you'll kind of feel that springy feeling again, but not as much. And when you feel it, just start to add lightly, very lightly, some gas, and that should make a nice smooth shift for you. So we'll go ahead and give this a try. So put down the e-brake, put it in the first gear, and slowly let off while adding some gas. So I'm just under 2,000, and now just take off. So 2,500, now 3,000. So I'm off the gas, pushing the clutch, going to second gear, letting off, and I'm adding some more gas. I'll try to get into third for you guys. So you can also listen to the motor when it starts to really strain. That's also when you should shift. So we're going, I'll get up to 3 in a second because there's a speed bump right here. Okay, so we're about to get up to 3,000. Clutch in, third gear, out, and add some gas. And then we're going. Now I'm not going to get into downshifting in this segment. That'll be a separate video. So that was an example of shifting. We'll do a few more. So I'm in second gear right now, which is probably a good gear for a neighborhood. But after I hit this little bump, I'll show you guys third gear. Get over this. And you'll notice I just had to downshift into first gear. I went over a dip, but and I didn't want to stall out or scrape my front of the car, so I had to go very slowly. That's why I downshifted. So here we go. We're at 3, clutch, gear, and let out, and gas. So you'll kind of figure out your own methods, but when you're first starting, if you want, you can get away with just there, I'm in neutral, so I don't have to worry about my clutch or stalling, because when you're in neutral, your car, it can't stall because it's not engaged in any gears. It's pretty much dead. Like gas won't work. It's just like idling. So I use neutral. Like, let's say you're coming up to like a stop sign, or I mean a stoplight. Sorry, you probably wouldn't want to use neutral when you're at a stop sign. But when you're at a stoplight and you see it's red, you can go ahead and throw it into neutral when you're close to the light, because you don't want to just have a dead car, because that's not safe. So you're going to be in neutral, then you can just brake like you're driving an automatic car normally, so you can just be braking. And then, so when, let's say we're at the light and it changes green, I have my brake pressed in, I'd go into first gear, and then I would just let off and go like normally. Okay, so when you're going to be reversing the car, it's the same maneuver, except you're not going to go into first gear, obviously, because that will make you go forward. So find reverse on your car. Mine says all the way over and down. I know that on my shifter I have to press down, but it'll be a trial and error thing. Like, if you go all the way over and down and you roll forward a little bit, or you'll probably stall. Because I can start it from 6th gear, because I'm a little more advanced in stick shift than I'm sure you guys are, obviously, since you're watching this video. And so then you would probably stall, and then you know, okay, that must not have been reverse. So to go into reverse, clutch in, down, over, and up. I don't even know if that is reverse.
That's reverse.
Nope, that's not. See, that was 6th gear, but I didn't stall, so down, there we go, over and up. So then you let off the clutch and add gas. Then you'll start rolling backwards. But don't let out of the clutch all the way, because it'll cause you to go very quickly. So like, watch, I'll let out all the way, and now I start rolling really fast. So I'm just gonna go into neutral so I can brake. But Yeah, so when you're reversing, keep the clutch at that balance point where it starts to feel springy and pop up into your foot. Keep it balanced there. You can add some gas if you need more speed, but you probably only would want to add gas when you're first rolling off, because keeping it balanced would be a good speed, and then you could just brake when you need normally. But if you don't want to worry about stopping in neutral, you can stop when you're engaged in a gear. So I'll go into first gear and I'll start to roll, and I'll show you guys stopping. Okay, so I'm rolling. Now let's say I want to stop. You always push the clutch in and brake. Then I'm good. Now I'm going to neutral. So that was pretty much the basics of driving stick. But before I go, I will tell you, like, when you're at a stop sign, second gear is generally a good gear for a neighborhood. But like, for whatever reason, if you're in third like I was, I would throw it into neutral, and then you don't have to have the clutch stayed in. So then you could brake, and right when the second you're literally about to completely stop, push in the clutch and throw it into first, and keep the clutch pressed in. You check to make sure everything's safe, and then you can go. But at a red light, you don't have to. You can just throw into neutral and do the same thing. So you throw into neutral, brake, and right when you're about to stop, put it into first and just leave the clutch in until your light turns green. But that is more effort because you have to leave this clutch pedal pressed in all the way. So I would suggest just leaving in neutral, and then then when it turns green, just go into first gear and go. So the last thing I'll cover is starting on hills, because you'll probably need this technique, and there's a few ways you can do it. You can use the emergency brake and stuff, but I'm not going to be teaching you guys that way. I guess I'll go into this driveway really quickly to show you, simulate a small hill. So I'm on a pretty decent hill right now, and I'm just in neutral gear because I'm stopped. Let's say we're at a stop sign. So I'm in neutral, I'm stopped, and I've checked, I'm ready to go. So same procedure, you go into first gear, but do not let out the brake yet. Balance the clutch until you feel it really get springy, but not too much so it stalls. So it's like perfectly balanced. Then if you did it right, you should let off the brake, and it shouldn't roll quickly. But you're gonna have to be fast. Then add gas, then just really let off the clutch. And that should be a pretty efficient way of starting up the hill. It takes a little practice, and you may roll back a little bit. But another option you have is you can rip the e-brake up and push in the clutch, and you start to, and drive like normal. And right when you start to roll a little bit, then you put down the emergency brake. And yeah. Okay, so that should be everything you guys need to know to drive stick. If you guys need another video, I'd be happy to make one, and I'll also be making more advanced ways to drive it and stuff like that. This is just the bare basics. But just remember, when you're starting it, wait till you feel the springy feeling on the clutch, and then you start to add the gas below 2,000, and then that'll get you going. And then when you're going to shift, just make sure you press the clutch in, and then shift in the next gear and let go of the clutch, and as you're letting go, you can add some gas. But if you're about to go in a pothole, a way you could do it is, depending on what gear you're in, most I shouldn't say pothole, a dip, or dips are in neighborhoods. So what you're gonna want to do is go into the when you see it coming up and you're braking, you're about to go into it, push in the clutch and shift into the next lowest gear, and then keep the clutch pressed in and brake like normally. And as you're coming out, you're gonna pretend like you're starting up the car from scratch. So you're gonna let out the clutch until you feel the springy feeling, then balance and add gas. Start. Okay, so one thing I forgot to mention is, if you're in neutral and you're braking up to a stop sign, and if it changes to a green light, what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna pretty much have to guess what gear to go in. It's not really a guess, but if you're going 10 to 20 miles per hour, that's pretty much a job for second gear. If you're about to stop, you never put the car into first gear when you're rolling, ever, unless you're going literally about 5 miles per hour. That's the only circumstance you ever put it into first gear. So pretty much any other time you're going slowly, it would go into second. But you pretty much have to figure out your car, how fast what gear is and stuff. But if you shift into too low of a gear, you'll know, because it's gonna rev pretty high, and it'll be harder to gas. But that could be fixed by just putting it in neutral and going. So I hope this tutorial helped you guys. Once again, if you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section. And thanks for watching.